Would you believe that the very thing protecting you right now is the exact thing slowly destroying your psychological well-being? Look around you. You are in a closed room with doors shut and lights off. No one can see you. No one can hear you. You are completely invisible to the rest of the world. But there is a dark mystery that almost no one talks about. This absolute physical privacy is not a natural human instinct. It is a completely artificial modern invention. It is newer than the birth of agriculture, newer than the creation of the first wheel, and far newer than the oldest written language. For 290,000 years of human existence, a solitary moment like the one you are experiencing right now was not just rare. It was not just difficult to arrange. It was completely and utterly impossible for any human alive. Imagine never being alone for a single second of your life. And here is the strangest part of this evolutionary puzzle. Our ancient ancestors, who lived every single day without a shred of privacy, did not suffer from its absence. Quite the opposite. We, the modern humans who possess the strongest walls, are the ones suffering from an unprecedented psychological epidemic. From an analytical perspective, modern loneliness does not stem from a lack of people to talk to. It stems from the fact that we have violently disrupted our ancient biological programming. The human brain evolved to constantly feel the reassuring warmth and the physical presence of our tribe around us. Let us travel back 30,000 years into the brutal depths of the Ice Age. Meet Kale, a prehistoric hunter sitting closely by a crackling fire. Take a close look at Kale's environment. His entire world, his boundary of survival, and his whole life existed within a physical radius of less than 15 meters. This is not a poetic metaphor. This is a cold, biological reality, proven by rigorous anthropological data. Oxford University scientists published groundbreaking research synthesizing decades of field observations across remaining hunter-gatherer societies. Their findings regarding human proximity were staggering. The research showed that a prehistoric human group maintained near constant physical proximity. Active members of the tribe, like Kale and his family, were rarely separated by more than 15 meters during most of their waking hours. 15 meters is roughly the length of a single modern school bus. Inside the narrow space of that metaphorical school bus, 15 to 50 people lived every single moment of their lives together. They slept huddled atop animal skins. They ate from the exact same fire, and they traveled across frozen valleys as a tightly packed, inseparable unit against the freezing cold. In this prehistoric reality, there were no clay walls, no private bedrooms, and no divided structures. There was absolutely no surface or natural material separating one person's private life from another's. Every cry, every breath, and every human action was completely exposed to the entire group. If Kale had a fierce argument with his partner, 40 people heard every word. If he fell ill due to the harsh glacial weather, 40 people knew before he could speak. Every raw emotion and primal desire was felt within that same 15-meter circle, with absolutely no physical boundaries to hide behind. So how did they survive without going completely insane? How did they manage their most intimate human behaviors without facing constant social judgment? The answer lies in a highly sophisticated social evolution. Our ancestors built their privacy out of human agreement, not out of stone, wood, or mud. They did not use physical materials to block the eyes of others. Instead, they relied on a shared collective decision about what people would consciously acknowledge and what they would deliberately ignore. Long-term studies of the Hadza people have shed light on this brilliant psychological mechanism. Anthropologists documented consistent behaviors so powerful that they functioned as the unwritten constitutional laws of the prehistoric world. The first behavior was the shifting social contract of time. When the hunting fires burned low and natural light vanished completely into the pitch-black night. At that exact moment, the social dynamics of the group quietly transformed. The deep darkness of the Ice Age was not viewed as a mere lack of light. It was a sacred, shared signal. Everyone understood what that signal meant, and everyone collectively agreed to behave as though they were completely alone. The second behavior was the concept of invisible distance. Watch Kale as he quietly steps away from the sleeping group, moving about 30 meters into the freezing dark wilderness. This specific movement was understood instantly by every member of the tribe, without a single word being uttered. In the absolute darkness of prehistory, without any artificial lighting, a distance of 30 meters made a person functionally invisible. Studies across ancient foragers show a strict unwritten rule. When a person moves away into the dark, no one follows. That shared distance was their only true wall. The peak of social sophistication was collective silence. This was not the ignorant silence of people who didn't know what was happening. This was the deeply respectful silence of people who had firmly agreed never to acknowledge what they actually heard or knew right next to them on the fur mats. But then a cataclysmic shift altered the course of human history. Around 10,000 years ago, as the Ice Age retreated, humans began farming. Farming meant staying rooted in one permanent location. Staying in one place meant building permanent structures out of heavy, unyielding natural materials. And that act of building gave birth to the very first walls made of sun-dried mud and heavy stones. For the first time in human history, an individual could physically close a door. Kale could now stand inside a closed space where no outsider or tribal member could see his movements. However, history never gives anything without taking something away. This transition was not a glorious liberation. It was a deeply tragic trade-off. Archaeological analyses of 9,000-year-old settlements in ancient Turkey have revealed a dark, unsettling truth hidden right behind those early walls. When scientists excavated the first enclosed mud brick houses, they discovered a terrifying correlation. The historical shift from open communal living spaces to walled domestic rooms directly matched a dramatic, measurable spike in indicators of interpersonal human violence and fractured skulls. I see a profound psychological law at work here. While walls gave people physical distinction, they also gave humans something physical to guard. The toxic concept of mine was officially born within those mud walls. And the moment something becomes mine, it means someone else can violently take it. Even after walls appeared, true privacy remained a luxury for most of human history. In medieval Europe, entire families shared a single room, and travelers at inns shared beds with total strangers. The private bedroom you woke up in this morning only became a common feature of ordinary life around 1920. To truly understand how this modern trade-off fractures our current mental health, we can examine a powerful, real-world account of the Mbuti tribe. Anthropologist Colin Turnbull recorded the story of a tribal man named Kiefer who got into a raging, fiery argument with his wife over a trivial matter. Because there were no private rooms to hide in, their shouting echoed loudly across the entire campsite. In our modern world, an intense argument like that is immediately locked behind concrete. It burns silently, mutating into deep-seated resentment or hidden trauma in absolute isolation. But in Kiefer's wall-less world, the village elders calmly gathered around a nearby fire, and began loudly cracking hilarious jokes about Kiefer's temper. Soon the entire camp was roaring with laughter. Hearing the tribe's laughter, the couple paused, realized how ridiculous they sounded, and their anger vanished. From this real-world example, we can draw a profound analysis. Our modern obsession with absolute privacy has stripped us of our natural emotional shock absorbers. The World Health Organization now officially classifies loneliness as a global public health crisis due to this extreme physical isolation. The average adult in the developed world currently spends more physical time alone than any human being in our 300,000-year history. Yet rates of severe depression and chronic alienation are skyrocketing. The walls we built worked perfectly, but the tragic bill has finally come due. Prehistoric humans like Kale never possessed a physical door to close against the world. They did not have the cold comfort of soulless concrete blocks. They built their deep sense of psychological safety and lifelong connection out of the only raw material they had available: one another. We modern humans have built massive, impenetrable walls to protect our bodies, our comfort, and our physical property. But ironically, along this long, grueling path of material progress, we have accidentally forgotten the most precious thing those walls were supposed to protect: human connection. The Mbuti people had no word for privacy, because they had absolutely no evolutionary need to isolate themselves. What they desperately needed to name, and what their complex language possessed hundreds of distinct words for, were the deep nuances of relationships, tribal roles, and communal bonds. The ultimate lesson of prehistory is clear. It is time to open the heavy doors of your mind, lower the unnecessary psychological defenses you have built, and actively reclaim your primal need for connection. Do not allow your modern walls to transform your life into a forgotten, lonely island. We have spent the last 100 years building the most flawless physical walls in human history, just to hide from the rest of the world. So tell me, are you ready to finally break a single brick in your own wall today? Step outside and truly connect with the human beings around you.